Hi friends, my name's Jess and welcome to my channel. How are ya? You feeling good today?
Glad to hear it.
If you couldn't tell, this is my first video. It's something I've been working up to for a while and I'm glad I'm finally sitting down and getting to do it. Let's get into it. What I'm hoping to accomplish on this channel is to kind of be a resource to the newbie. That's what I'm labeling myself. For the entirety of this, however long it goes, I'm a newbie in the horror community. And that's not saying that it's not something I haven't explored in the past. It is. It's something I've been interested in my whole life. However, you know, more recently, especially during quarantine, looking for something to give me that, like,
oh my god,
feeling like I feel something instead of just existential dread. That's what horror was for me. I feel like the great thing about horror is that it really does make you feel something. You know, whether that just completely scares the shit out of you or whether it just fills you with, you know, an overwhelming sense of dread. Fantastic! I feel like that's the point, you know? So, as a newbie, I wanted to start this channel as kind of, you know, a safe place for people who are just starting off in the horror community and want someone to talk to about things. The really exciting thing, to me at least, and to what I think entices a lot of people about the genre in its entirety is that it's extremely subjective. Horror is subjective, fear is subjective. The way you see something is different than the way someone else is going to see something. And yes, you can say that about another genre. Totally, absolutely. However, you know, one thing is not going to scare somebody like another thing does. That's the beauty of it. That's why it's so exciting. And that's why, you know, it's cool, or, you know, we're trying to make it cool. I'm trying to make it cool to talk about your opinions, even if they're different than somebody else's. I'm going to start from the beginning because why the hell not? Why not explore it from the beginning, work our way up together, answer questions together. I'll share my opinion and you can share yours. And I'd love to hear that. You know, I think the community in itself right now, there are some fantastic YouTubers who really inspired me to do this. And, you know, Spooky Astronauts, Possessed by Horror. I really think, you know, communities like that and their following are really, really positive. And they're very experienced in the genre and the film that they watch and the film that they love, and I am not. But I want to get there, and I want to get there with you guys, and I want to make it okay to discuss things on here that you don't feel comfortable discussing anywhere else. Horror is not just for men. You know, the fact that that's a really big stigma in the horror community is really frustrating because, you know, a director's not gonna make a horror movie saying like, oh, like, this one is specifically for dudes. Like, only dudes are gonna think this is scary. Like, yeah, bro. Now, end of the day, I love horror and I want to start from the beginning with you guys. And let's learn together. And don't have to worry that I'm going to be a film school bro who only likes art house films and puts you down for liking mainstream movies because, you know, that fucking sucks. And I'm sure we've all had an experience with that before in our lives, which is incredibly frustrating. So, you know, let's gather here and show them that our opinions matter and our taste in film is okay. It's not the most serious aspect in life. It's something that brings us joy, brings us comfort, gives us an outlet to discuss our feelings. So let's do that. Getting started. This movie. You guys, this is just like awful. Because looking back on it now, I know the stigma it has in the horror community that, you know, it's not scary, or found footage is dumb, or like shaky cam, whatever.
The Blair Witch Project
It was the first scary movie that I had ever seen in my life. I cried to my parents over this movie. Yeah, it was horrifying. And that was my experience with it. If you had a different one, perfect. I envy you because I probably, could have gotten some sleep in that week after watching it. I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old, staying at my grandparents' house. My parents dropped me off to go on vacation, but I was sleeping in the back bedroom by myself. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I still can't sleep without some kind of noise in the background. It's, I need a TV on. That's just the way my ADHD brain works. But I was 8. I didn't have my phone. And the only thing that was in this room was this old ass TV with the box on the back. It only got a few channels. So, of course, I was channel surfing, and the only one that would work without fuzz was this channel playing the Blair Witch Project. When I first landed on it, I missed a little bit of the intro, so I got, whenever they were like in the town interviewing the townsfolk, they're interviewing the people from the town, and my mind automatically thought that that was real. I know that was a big controversy when this film first came out, as people didn't know if it was real or not. And that's, having to do with the director asking the actors from the film to kind of lay low until the film came out so that people would have that element of, oh shit, did this really happen? Are these people missing? That's scary. And in my 8-year-old brain, in the middle of the night, documentary, sure, of course it's real. I didn't have my phone. I could just Google and see what was going on. When they went into the woods, I was kind of invested at this point. I thought, they were going to go and look in nature, maybe go explore a cave or whatever. Not that they were going to die one by one by this fucking entity in the woods that I didn't see. It was traumatizing. And I think that's a really good point as to how to explain how subjective horror is, because a lot of people weren't scared by this movie. And that's, that's fine. And I bet if I were older, or, maybe knew the background of the movie before going into it, I would have thought it wasn't as scary. But, coming from a blank slate, an open mind, and an extremely creative imagination, what my mind conjured this witch to look like was just awful. And I feel like that was the director's intent with this. Again, I have no background in film. I'm not a cinephile or cinematographer or what the fuck ever. But I do know that what this movie was wanting you to do was to create something in your mind that was going to scare you most effectively. All of these elements playing together, the documentary background, the atmosphere, I feel like it was shot mainly at night or at dusk. And I feel like that played into the eerie feeling that you got from this movie. There was no background music at all. Of course, you're in the woods. You're not going to have background music. That's an element that made it a little bit more real and a little bit more feasible. Like, okay, maybe like this could happen because there's no weird music going on in the forest. Does that make sense? So all of these factors combined will kind of sit in the back of your mind, and you'll think, okay, if I was in that position, what would be the scariest thing that I could see that would just make me like lose my mind? And that's what happened. And I feel like that was the director's intent and goal. And for a lot of people, that's what happened. And it scared the shit out of them. Last Halloween, when, we were all still in quarantine, I didn't go anywhere with my fiance, and we just kind of sat on the couch, and he was like, you know what, babe, I never let you watch scary movies with me. Let's watch a scary movie. So the one I wanted to watch, obviously, was Blair Witch Project. He'd never seen, he'd seen scary movies, but I wanted him to experience something that scared me when I was little. I wanted us to have that connection, and I really wanted him to get scared too. Of course, he didn't get scared. He's a realist. He's an engineer. Nah, no point to it. but he didn't get it. He didn't get the point. And a lot of people are like that. A lot of people look at film and want to examine it from the fact, like, this doesn't make sense to me. I need it to make complete and utter sense as to why this is happening, and then maybe I can find it scary. And I understand that point too, because, like, if they were in the woods and they had this, like, banging ass soundtrack behind them the whole time, like, that's not scary. The fact that, they created that ambiance of a stick cracking, leaves rustling, or they had things show up in the woods that were made of sticks and leaves and things that could be found in nature. It's more real than not, in my mind. I love it. I think another thing that is discussed whenever, you bring up the Blair Witch Project is that it kind of revived the whole found footage genre. I can see the pros and cons of that, because sometimes when you're running through the woods, or they're running through the woods and all you see is just a bunch of shaky camera stuff, it's annoying, and maybe it can give you a headache or make you nauseous. I totally understand. But for me, I feel like that kind of played into the realness of it. That's what would happen if you were running through the woods with a camera. And I think something that, like, does dampen the realness of this movie for me is, sometimes there are things that you wouldn't be filming. Like, at the very end, I don't know if I would have brought my camera. Maybe if that was the only source of light that I had, I would be filming. But I think it gets to a point where you can say, okay, this isn't going to work anymore, and then put the camera down. That's the only aspect of this movie for me where it gets a little bit, okay, you're not real, because nobody in their right mind would do this if they had a flashlight or something else. If they were trying to fight for their life, they're not going to film it the whole time. That's where found footage gets a little bit cheesy for me, and I understand that argument. But if it's done well, like VHS, I love the VHS movies, 1 and 2 specifically, but that's done really well, and the aspect of realism is there. And I think with Blair Witch, it's there too. So I hope you guys check it out. I know I probably did spoil a little bit of it for you, but hopefully not too much, and you'll go and see it for yourself. The atmosphere is fantastic. I think the acting is great. Sometimes it's a little cheesy, specifically the girls, a little cheesy, but for a movie in the 90s, it's pretty great. It's pretty scary. Let me know if you guys watch it, and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to discuss it with you, and just discuss anything if you have any questions or topics you want me to bring up. Like I said, I want to talk about horror and, all that it encompasses, whether it be movies or creepypasta or urban legends, subreddits, whatever. I want to make this a cool place for everyone to come and discuss and feel safe sharing their opinions. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if there's anything that I can improve. Always up for suggestions, and I hope I talk to you guys soon. Thanks!